Hi, I Dr. Prashant Padhyay welcome you all once again on my YouTube channel Gate Arena. In today's lecture, we will going to talk about the semiconductor. In previous lecture, we have seen that we have talked about the semiconductor materials, and in this lecture, we will be focusing on the semiconductor. So when we are talking about the semiconductor, what we say that semiconductor is a substance which has got a resistivity in between of a conductor and the insulator. So we are writing the resistivity and we are saying that the resistivity of a semiconductors lies between 10 raised to power minus 4 to zero point 0.5 ohm meter in between the conductor and the insulator. The example of a semiconductors are germanium, silicon, carbon, etc. So now we will be defining the some of the properties of a semiconductor. So the first property of the semiconductor, as we have already discussed, is that the resistivity of a semiconductor is less than an insulator but more than the conductor. Okay, so we will be writing short form SM. So we are writing resistivity of SM is less than insulator but more than conductor. Okay, so these are the property which you have to remember when you are defining the semiconductor. The second property of a semiconductor is that it has got a negative temperature coefficient of resistance. So we are writing semiconductor has got a negative temperature coefficient of a resistance. The negative temperature of a coefficient means that the resistance of a semiconductor decrease with the increase of a temperature and vice versa. So we can write that the resistance of semiconductor decrease. So arrow down arrow means we are talking with respect to the decrease with increase. So up arrow means increase. Okay, so whenever we will be using the down arrow means decrease, and whenever we are using the up arrow, it means increase. So we are saying the resistance of a semiconductor decrease with the increase in temperature and vice versa. So here what we are trying to say is that just let take an example that for example germanium is actually an insulator at low temperature, but it become a good conductor at high temperature. So we can take an example of a germanium. Now talking about the main property of the semiconductor. Okay, so it is one of the important property of a semiconductor is that when a suitable metallic impurities, it can be for example we are talking about the arsenic or we are talking about the gallium etc is added to the semiconductor, its current conducting property changes. Okay, so it is one of the important properties why we are using the semiconductors materials. Okay, so whenever we are adding any type of metallic impurities, okay, it can be from the type 3 or type 5 that has been added to the type 4. Okay, it's still going to change the current conducting properties of a semiconductor, and that is the reason why we are studying these semiconductor devices.